The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining today. My name is Craig Rappaport, and I am the Marketing Coordinator at Estimating Edge. Today, Troy Good, who is a Large Accounts Customer Success Manager, will be covering change orders, followed by Mike Mao, the Training and Support Manager, who will be answering any questions you might have at the end. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items. First, all lines have been muted, but we will answer questions after the webinar. To ask questions, enter them in the questions window. We will answer these at the end. Second, I will send you an email that has a recorded link. The recording will also be available to watch on demand on our website. And finally, when you leave the webinar today, a pop-up window will open with a 3-question survey. One of the questions is what topics you'd like to see in upcoming webinars. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks everyone for joining, and Troy, let's get started.
Thank you, Craig. So today we're going to be covering change orders. And we're going to start with just one scenario created right now inside of the Edge. This would resemble, for example, a base bid scenario that you would use as your starting point to create change orders from. Now, just as a general rule of thumb, we're always going to request that you copy and insert your base bid scenario. So that way you always have a starting point to be able to go back and refer back to what that the initial base bid was for this job. So in this case, I'm going to move over and I'm going to copy and insert this scenario. And in this case, I want to make sure that I copy all of my drawings and my quantities. So that way we're making just an exact replica of scenario 1. Now in this case, once the scenario is created, it's going to allow me to change the name. So up here at the top, I'm going to now name this scenario something pertaining to let me know that this is the scenario that I'm going to be editing and modifying with any change orders. So in this case, I'm just going to call it change order scenario. And then I'm going to click save. So now that I've copy and inserted my base bid scenario and created my change order scenario, now I want to make sure that first off, my status box is green. Your status box needs to be green, letting you know that everything inside of the job has been filled out with the correct information. Once you have a green status box, you're then going to check in the scenario. So that way you can send all of this information back to the cloud. And then once you check in the scenario, you are going to click the edit button here on the right-hand side, the pencil and paper icon. And then you're going to have this pop up right below where we typed in the name for our scenario. This is the use change orders option. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to click the use change orders checkbox there. By highlighting that checkbox, you're now able to see the dialog that was kind of faded out before. We're simply letting you know that by checking this checkbox, you are enabling change orders for this scenario. The reason we're also bringing this to right up here in front for you is because at the very bottom, you're able to see that this setting is irreversible. So this is another reason why we want you to copy your base bid scenario. So that way you're not affecting that initial scenario that you created. So now we know that this is an irreversible setting, but we still want to proceed forward. So we're going to then click the confirm use change orders down here at the bottom. And now we're going to click save. Now, when I click save, you're going to notice there's a difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2. If you look at the collaboration tools, we no longer have a check in and check out button at the scenario level. We now have a change orders option. Now, you are going to click the change orders button whenever you need to move forward and actually create a change order for this job. So in this case, we open up the change orders option, and you'll notice up here at the top, our breadcrumbs are going to continue to move forward. However, now we have a different breadcrumb. This is our change order breadcrumb. You'll notice that there is a little bit of a different look to this home screen. And so in this case, I want to click my new change order option here in the right-hand corner. This is going to allow me to create a new change order based off of the scenario that I had created. So I'm going to click the new change order option. Here, I'm going to give it a name. In this one, I'm just going to call this area change. And then for change order number, I'm going to go ahead and put the number 1 in here because this is the first change order that's been requested for me to make on the job. Now I'm going to go ahead and click save. What you will notice is as I click the save button, it's now creating that change order for me. You can see that the status is currently gray. And if you look at the change order window here, you can see that it is currently creating. While this is creating, I want to talk about the right-hand side of the screen. This is a new look if you haven't worked in change orders before. Now, with change orders, we are going to be showing you the before dollar amount, so the base starting point of this change order. This is the scenario, your base bid. This is what you've copied. This is the before amount in the job. The current is obviously if you've made a change, whether that be positive or negative inside of the job, this is going to show you the current cost of that job or the current price for that job. And then here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have a change window there for you. This is going to show either the positive or the negative dollar amount that you changed inside of this change order. So in this case, I want to now check this change order out, and that's going to be located over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click the checkout window here. And now while I'm checking out this change order, I'm now just going to click the forward arrow button as if I would to move normally through the program. What you'll notice is now we're in our sections breadcrumb. If I move my bar over and click the arrow button again, we've now proceeded forward to the pages breadcrumb. In this case, I'm going to dive into roof drawing number 1 by clicking the forward arrow. And now we're looking at our conditions breadcrumb. So in this case, I wanted to change the area condition inside of this change order. So to do that, I'm going to simply click on the takeoff window up here in the upper right corner. And now I'm just going to add in, let's say they wanted to add in some additional area here at the top of the building. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in just a little bit of area here. And then I'm going to click enter. So for this change, that's all they wanted to do inside of the project. They just wanted to add in a little bit more area, but with adding in the area, we want to make sure that we also include anything else we need. So in this case, I'm going to include some wall flashing as well. And I'm just going to add it around the perimeter here where we just added that, and then come back here, and I'm going to finish that shape. So in this case, this is the only change I made. I added a little area. I've also added in some wall flashing. Now I'm going to go back to my condition list, and what you'll notice is the wall flashing and the mechanically attached TPO condition are both highlighted with this background color of green. The reason that it's highlighted green is to indicate that you have added quantity to the job, which is ultimately going to increase the cost of the job. If I wanted to see what information I added in, I can click on the material pricing screen. And now you're going to be able to see a couple different items out here. First thing that you're going to notice as soon as you come out to the material pricing screen is that there's a difference in the font for the material. You'll notice that we have some font that's bolded, and we also have some font that is just normal, the normal size. The reason that you're seeing this difference is because the font that is not bolded is what's coming in from the initial job, that initial scenario that you had copied and brought over as your change order scenario. All of the bolded information that you're currently seeing is everything that has been affected inside of this change order. So you can see, because we added in the additional membrane and the additional area, we're now including the additional membrane and insulation that would be associated with that as well. Now, if I wanted to make a change, I can only make a change to the bolded lines. Again, that's because the non-bolded information is coming from the initial scenario that you copied from. So in this case, if I wanted to simply change the cost of my insulation because it raised in price, so in this case, we're going to say that we're going to throw $56 in here, and I'm going to click enter. So in this case, we just simply change the cost of our insulation, and it's going to only affect the amount that we're currently bringing in. Furthermore, if I wanted to make a change to my labor screen, I could go out to my labor screen and I could adjust my production rates. I also have the ability here to adjust the cost per hour that I'm paying my guys. Since this is a change order, our cost per hour has changed a little bit. So we're no longer going to be paying $25 on the hour. We're actually going to make a change, and that's going to go to $30 on the hour. So I'm simply going to type in 30, click the enter button, and this is letting me know that all of the associated labor type of roofing will also be updated to that same $30 per hour, which is what I want. So I'll click OK. And now that I've clicked yes there, you can see that that cost per hour has gone through and changed from the initial default that it was of $25 per hour to now being $30 per hour. In this case, let's say that that was the only change that I was making to my labor screen, and now we're going to go look at our recap screen. I have the ability in my recap screen to also modify the markups for this change order. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, you'll notice the different subdivisions that I'm currently producing in my job. Here I have a roofing subdivision. You'll also see that I have a drywall subdivision. And now, because I affected only roofing conditions, you can see here is the roofing subdivision for this specific change order that I'm working in. Now, if I wanted to go in and if I wanted to change any of these markups, I have that ability. For example, in this case, we don't need a permitting fee. I can simply double click on permit fee, go in here, zero out the information, click save. And now when the screen refreshes, you'll notice that that permit fee is no longer there. So in this case, I've made all of the changes to the change order that I'm currently working on. So now I'm going to go back to my change order scenario and I'm going to check this in. Okay. Now by checking this in, all I'm doing is simply saying I have made the changes in this current change order, and the price that you're seeing when selected on this change order here on the right-hand side of the screen is showing because of the additional area that I added into my job. Okay. Now, when I am selected on the change order, you'll notice after I check that in, I get a couple options. I get an accept button, a decline button, and a refresh button, as well as the checkout button. The checkout button is there, so if I wanted to do more modifications to the change order, I can simply check it out, go back in and add any additional change order information inside of there. Below that, you have the accept and the decline button. That's for if the change order gets approved by either the GC or the building owner or whoever is in charge of the project. If they come back to you and say, hey, we really like your change order, let's go ahead and accept it, you would then come back out and accept this. However, before that happens, let's say they throw another change order at you. In this case, they want to deduct some area out of the job. So here I would click new change order. And in this case, I'm going to call this deduct area. And I'm going to label this change order number 2. I'm going to click save. And again, it's now going to create a second change order. However, what you will notice between change order 1 that has been created and has the quantity changed and change order 2, the one I'm now creating, is there is a difference in cost. The reason that you're seeing a difference in cost is because in change order 1, we are taking the default scenario that we initially created and copied from, and we are pulling that in and allowing us to see what the change would be in this change order if we accepted it. So this would be the starting amount. What you're seeing here for current would be the new starting default amount for any change order that you create. However, because this was not accepted, you are seeing the initial default scenario that we originally copied and inserted. You're seeing that default starting amount because we have not yet accepted any change orders. So in this case, we've created change order number 2. I'm going to check this one out, and then I'm going to go deduct some information from the job. So here we're going to move forward just as we normally would. So I'll click my arrow button. Here I can move forward by clicking the arrow button again. I'm going to go back into that same page. And I'm going to make a change to the area condition yet again. So I'm going to click my takeoff window. And this time, instead of adding the area to the back, which you won't see because that has not been accepted yet, now I'm just going to deduct, let's say, this triangle here at the front. They want to get rid of this. So I'm going to click my deduct tool. I'm then going to measure around here, and I'm going to deduct this area. And in this case, that's the change that we're going to make on our takeoff screen. So we go back to our bid grid list or our condition list. And now you're noticing that instead of having a green highlight behind the condition that we're working on, now you're seeing a red. And that red is indicating that you have now taken money out of the initial base bid that you loaded in because you deducted that area. So if we go to the pricing screen, what does that show us there? Well, now it's going to show you the negative amount of material that you are no longer required to have on the job because you deducted that area. If the pricing had changed from the time that you ordered this until to the time where you're now doing this change order, you can go in and you can modify that pricing just like we did initially on that first change order we created. So in this case, instead of it being $7 a square, we're just going to go ahead and call it, let's say it's $45 a square, and we're going to click enter. Also, I can go to my labor screen and I can adjust any information that I want here. Again, if I wanted to adjust my production rate, I have that ability, or if I wanted to adjust my cost per hour, I can go ahead and do that as well. So in this case, let's say that we changed our cost per hour, and instead of it being 25 like it initially was, because it's change order work and we changed some information around, we're going to go ahead and say that our cost per hour is actually $32 an hour. Okay, so now in this change order, that's all we're going to do. We've made our changes, we changed our cost per hour, we went in and we've deducted some area inside of here. So I'm going to go back to my change orders breadcrumb, and then I'm going to click check in on this one. Now, while I'm clicking check in on this one, you can take a note over here on the right hand side. You can see the before, you can see the current, and you'll notice that we have that red showing up with the change and the dollar amount. Okay, so now I'm going to click check in. And as this is checking in, let's say that the building owner gives you a call and they say, hey, by the way, we like both of the change orders that you submitted, and we want to proceed forward with both of them. So they want to take off the front of the building and they want to add that additional area to the back. And so now it comes time for us to accept these change orders. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way you accept the change orders. The nice thing about having the change order capability is you can accept these change orders in whatever way you want, and you can create as many change orders without accepting them as you would like as well. So here I'm going to go to my area change, and in this case, I'm just going to accept this one first. So I'm going to go ahead and click accept, and then we have this window that pops up. Here, you're just going to go ahead and click accept. It's going to process that information, and then it's going to refresh the screen for us. And you'll notice when we come back out here, this accepted window is now going to be check marked because we accepted the current change order. Furthermore, if you're using Edge on site, when you accept a change order, all of this information is going to get updated, and then it is also going to get pushed out to Edge on site, so your guys in the field will be able to see the updated information on the job, and they'll be able to track the project with that change order being accepted as well. So now I've accepted the first change order. You'll notice that because I have the little check mark here that says accepted. So now I want to go to change order number 2, and I'm going to accept this one. So I'm going to go down, click accept, and then I'm going to click OK. Now, what you should see here in just a second, and there it is this big yellow box that pops up, letting us know that we have conflicts between the change order. The reason that we have conflicts is because we've adjusted the same line. If I wanted to see what those conflicts were, I could click on the view conflicts option here. This is going to take me out to the administration portal, and it's going to allow me to see what conflicts are currently happening between the two change orders. Give me just a second here. All right. So now you can see the exact page that you've modified, the exact condition that you're currently adjusting inside of the change order. And here it's going to show you what is different from the two change orders. So in this one, we've added in square footage. And then down here, you can see that we are changing. We have two different types or two different costs in there for our labor types. So this is indicating what's happening inside of the change order and why we're getting the conflicts. If I go back to my edge here, now I need to resolve the conflicts. So you'll notice that where that accept button was at initially, there's now a resolve option. In this case, when I click resolve, it's going to ask me, do I want to merge or override the change orders? And in this case, with the conflict, you are always going to choose the merge option. The reason being is because merging is going to say, I want to accept both of the changes in the change orders. I want them to be combined together in the same change order. It's going to now replace your default starting amount when you merge this. So in this case, I'm going to click merge and I'm going to say yes. Now, what you will notice is as we're going through, you see this change order up here at the top being created because we accepted both of these change orders now. And now you'll notice that change order number 2 is no longer in the window. And the reason that change order number 2 is no longer in the window is because we told it that we wanted to merge both change order number 1, where we added the additional area, and change order number 2, where we deducted that area from the front of the building. So now what I need to do is I need to check this job or check this change order out. So that way I can make sure that both of the changes have been applied. The way that I do that is I can simply go to the takeoff screen and I can verify based on my takeoff screen that I see the additional area at the back and that I also see the negative area at the front. Another way that I can double check to make sure that the change has gone through is you'll notice here at the top, we have that negative coming through here with that red color. If I go out to my material pricing screen, you'll also be able to see the all of the material that we have throughout both change orders. So in this case, if we take a look at the insulation, which is the line item that I changed, you'll notice that here's our $7 a square coming in from the initial scenario. Here's our $56 a square coming in from that first change order that we accepted. And now this is the second change order that we ran into conflicts. Now we're going to accept it. Now you can see that we have that $45 per square unit price coming in. Again, you can also go take a look at your labor screen, and your labor screen will show you the difference as well. Remember, we made a change to our cost per hour. So in this case, you can see, if we look at our fasten labor, you'll see our default of $25 as our cost per hour from our base scenario that we copied. You'll see the first change order where we changed that to $30 per hour. And now you'll see the second change order that we're in the process of accepting at $32. So now, once I verify that the change has been made, I go back to my change orders breadcrumb and I click the check-in option here. Once I click the check-in option, now you're going to notice that we get that accept button down here at the bottom. And now we can accept this change order. And what it's done is it's merged both of them together and it's gotten rid of that conflict for you. So now when you create a new change order, your new change order is going to be the starting dollar amount of the current change order we're accepting. So now we're going to accept this one right here. And if I create another one, you'll notice that my net cost is going to start at the $306,149.27. And that's how you are able to create a change order, modify the information, go in and accept them. But then also, if you run into a conflict, this is how you're able to resolve that conflict inside of the program. Now, additionally, if you would like to see what else happened inside of that change order, you do have a viewable report that you can access from your change orders breadcrumb. So in this case, let's say that I wanted to look at the area change that I accepted. I can click on this little icon in between change order and the name of the change order. And that's going to take me right out to my administration portal. And it's going to take me right into the change order that I'm currently looking at. And it's going to allow me to see this report. So here you can see the section that we're currently working in. you can see that there were 3 conditions that were changed, 4 shapes, a total of 27 items. Here you can see that this was a positive change, so an increase in the cost of the job. If I click on roof drawing number 1 and scroll down, it's going to start loading in what's happening inside of that change order. So give it just a second here. Now I can scroll down and I can see exactly which conditions were modified. I can see the exact change per condition. If I wanted to dive a little bit deeper, I could click the show option here. And now I can really start breaking out exactly what happened inside of, say, this area condition in this change order, okay? Now, right now, this report is only viewable. You can only view this right now. It's not able to be printed. But this is where you're able to go in and access the change order report to see exactly what's happening inside of there. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mike to answer any questions that might have come through while we were in the process of going through the change order.
Great job, Troy. Well, it looks like everyone is looking at everything you've done and all explained very well. So that's it for today. Thank you all for joining us, and look forward to the next time, and have a great day.